Given the corruption, treachery, and the years of imprisonment endured by Nelson Mandela, it is remarkable and admirable that he did not allow any of this to corrupt his own morality. The freedom he desired was not a ruthless revenge of black people over white people. He detested racism of any kind, and now he envisaged a South Africa of equals, working together to save a country that was spiraling out of control. Years of suffering and frustration had created an increasingly angry and militant mindset amongst the black population, and many districts had become virtually ungovernable. Winnie Mandela was now sparking fear and controversy, surrounding herself with a band of ferocious minders known as the Mandela United Football Club, and implicated in a number of murders. She made violent, bloodthirsty speeches, with talk of necklacing, burning people alive using petrol and tires.
No more talking, we are now talking about action. We are going to dismantle apartheid physically in this country.
The government declared an ongoing state of emergency, imposing curfews, broad censorship, and sweeping laws with extreme punishment, including executions. Foreign banks, already nervous, called in their loans. The rand slid, and the pressure rose. Even some of the government's own began questioning apartheid.
There's no justification for keeping Mr. Mandela in prison, and that the only way in which we can start resolving the problems of our country is in an unconditional release of Mr. Mandela.
Recovering from tuberculosis, Mandela was moved to an isolated section of prison, where conversations began in earnest with the government. When President Botha suffered a stroke and was forced to resign, F.W. de Klerk took the reins. In a series of preliminary talks, Mandela and de Klerk paved the way for the ANC and the government to sit down together and negotiate. When Parliament opened the following February, de Klerk announced that all political parties were to be unbanned and political prisoners released.
It is the combination of the internal and external progressive forces that have forced the government to release us.
One gives an impression that Mr. Mandela may be released. The government seems serious.
On the 11th of February 1990, Nelson Mandela walked out of prison after 27 years, free at last.
We call on the international community to continue the campaign to isolate the apartheid regime, to lift sanctions now would be to run the risk of aborting the process towards the complete eradication of apartheid. Our march to freedom is irreversible. We must not allow fear to stand in our way.
Life as a free man was a whirlwind. There was much to be done, and there was a frenzy of attention from the media and the public. Mandela had long been absent from public life, and he worked hard to shore up support from his own people and internationally to establish a peaceful and unified South Africa. His chief and most difficult task was to engage all the 26 political factions in negotiating a new constitution. Competing with the ANC for a say in this were, of course, de Klerk's National Party, as well as the rival Inkatha Freedom Party, a Zulu body led by Chief Buthelezi. Also at the table, or far-right conservative white groups fiercely opposed to any relaxing of apartheid. The government itself had so far failed to lead by example, keeping its cast-iron grip. There would be no consensus without all sides giving some ground.
We will honor every word in this agreement. It is our document. And we are therefore going to look very hard and earnestly into the whole question of the armed struggle in the light of this agreement.
Real peace for South Africa can only be attained if all the people of this country are accommodated in a just and equitable manner. Therefore, those against harmony, or those who are terribly afraid, I think, will be against this. But the overwhelming majority of all the people, whether they black, white, colored, or Indian, will welcome this, because this is a step towards a peaceful new South Africa.